rain had been falling for almost an hour when Daniel Carter walked into a small family restaurant with his 8-year-old daughter, Emma. It had been a long day. Daniel was a single father, and most nights he was too tired to think about anything except getting his daughter home, helping her with homework, and making sure she had something warm to eat. That night, they decided to have dinner at a little restaurant near their apartment. Daniel was smiling at Emma when he noticed an elderly woman sitting alone near the window. She looked different from everyone else in the restaurant. Her gray coat was worn and soaked from the rain. Her shoes were old. Her hands trembled slightly as she looked at the menu. But what caught Daniel's attention wasn't her appearance. It was the fact that she kept looking at the prices. She finally closed the menu. The waitress came over. "Are you ready to order?" The old woman hesitated. "Yes," she said softly. "Just a glass of water, please." Daniel looked at her. She wasn't ordering food. Emma noticed too. "Daddy," she whispered, "is that lady hungry?" Daniel looked at his daughter. He knew exactly what she was thinking. "Maybe she just isn't hungry," he said quietly. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. A few minutes later, Daniel watched the woman reach into her coat pocket. She pulled out a handful of coins. She counted them. Then she counted them again. Her face fell. Daniel didn't say anything. He simply called the waitress over. "Excuse me," he said quietly. "Could you bring that woman a hot meal?" The waitress smiled. "Of course. And please put it on my bill." Daniel returned to his table before the woman could notice. A few minutes later, the waitress placed a bowl of hot soup, bread, and a small plate of chicken in front of the elderly woman. The woman looked confused. "I didn't order this." The waitress pointed toward Daniel. "He did." The woman slowly turned around. Daniel gave her a small smile. "Please, it's cold outside." The woman stared at him. Then she whispered, "Thank you." Daniel nodded. "Everyone deserves a warm meal." The woman began eating. For the first time that night, Daniel saw a little peace in her eyes. Emma smiled at her. The woman smiled back, but then something strange happened. The woman suddenly stopped eating. Her eyes moved from Emma to Daniel. She stared at his face, not casually. She stared as if she had just seen someone she had been searching for her entire life. Daniel noticed. "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman slowly stood. She walked toward him. Her hands were shaking. Then she whispered something so quietly that Daniel almost didn't hear it. "Daniel?" Daniel froze. His smile disappeared. "How do you know my name?" The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Because I knew your mother." Daniel felt a strange pressure in his chest. "My mother?" The woman nodded. "Her name was Sarah." Daniel stared at her. "Yes." The woman sat down. "I knew Sarah many years ago." Daniel shook his head. "My mother died 18 years ago." "I know." "Then how do you know me?" The woman reached inside her coat. She pulled out an old envelope. It was yellow with age. Daniel's name was written across it. His hands started trembling. That handwriting. He knew it. It was his mother's. "Where did you get this?" The woman looked down. "Your mother gave it to me." Daniel opened the envelope. Inside was an old photograph. His mother was standing beside the same elderly woman, and between them was a little boy. "Daniel." He stared at the photograph. His mind raced. "Why would my mother give you this?" The woman looked at him. "Because she knew one day you would need to know the truth." Daniel's heart started pounding. What truth? The woman leaned closer. Your father didn't abandon you. Daniel stopped breathing. His entire childhood flashed through his mind. He remembered his mother telling him that his father had left when Daniel was very young. He remembered waiting by the window. He remembered asking when his father would come back. And he remembered his mother crying whenever he asked too many questions. Daniel whispered, "My father left us." "No," the woman said. "He was forced to disappear." Daniel stared at her. "Who forced him?" Before the woman could answer, the restaurant door opened. A tall man walked inside. He wore an expensive black coat and carried a leather briefcase. The old woman's face suddenly turned pale. She grabbed Daniel's wrist. "Don't let him see me." Daniel looked toward the door. "Who is that?" The woman whispered, "He has been looking for me." The man slowly walked across the restaurant. Then he stopped. His eyes landed on Daniel. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Finally, the man said, "Daniel Carter?" Daniel stood. "Yes?" The man's expression changed. "I've been searching for you for 25 years. Daniel felt a chill run through his body. "Why?" The man looked at the old woman. Then he looked back at Daniel. "Because your father asked me to find you." Daniel's eyes widened. "My father?" The man nodded. "He's alive." Daniel couldn't speak. Emma reached for her father's hand. "Daddy, what does he mean?" Daniel looked at his daughter, then at the old woman, then at the stranger. Suddenly, the old woman began crying. She whispered, "Your mother made me promise never to tell you until you were old enough to understand." Daniel's voice shook. "Understand what?" The woman looked directly into his eyes. "Your father didn't leave because he stopped loving you." She paused. "He left because he was protecting you." Daniel felt tears filling his eyes. For 25 years, he had believed his father had forgotten him. Now he was learning that the truth might be completely different. The stranger placed the leather briefcase on the table. Inside was another photograph. Daniel picked it up. It showed his father holding him as a baby. On the back, there was a handwritten message. Daniel read it slowly. "If my son ever finds this, tell him I never stopped looking for him." Daniel covered his mouth. Emma hugged his waist. And for the first time in his adult life, Daniel cried for the father he had spent decades believing had abandoned him. The old woman reached across the table and held his hand. "I am sorry it took so long." Daniel looked at her through his tears. Then he asked the question that had haunted him since childhood. "Where is my father now?" The stranger looked toward the restaurant window. "He's waiting outside." Daniel turned toward the glass, and standing beneath the rain was an elderly man holding an old photograph of a little boy who was Daniel. After 25 years, father and son were finally standing only a few feet apart, and Daniel suddenly understood something. Sometimes the person you think abandoned you may have been fighting silently to find his way back home.